Person of the week. The momentous events in the Soviet Union these last 2 weeks have overshadowed nearly every other news story in the world. But while we were captivated as the drama unfolded, the daily movements of Gorbachev and Yeltsin and Lenin, we did manage to catch an occasional glimpse of another event out of the corner of our eye. And the person we choose this week has been a major player there for almost as long as we can remember.
Even after all these years, it's still my pleasure to go out and give it the best effort that I have. And if it works out and I'm able to reach a level that enables me to go out and compete and play these young guys now, that's even better.
It couldn't have been any better for Jimmy Connors than it was Tuesday night at the US Open. Connors' opponent, 15 years his junior, had won the first 2 sets and 3 games of the 3rd set, and was about to finish off the 5-time US Open champion in his 108th match there. But after all, this is Jimmy Connors we're talking about.
The only thing I do when I'm down is just, try to stay in there and grind it out and do what I've done really throughout my whole career. And that's the only way I'm going to die is if you shoot me, really.
Grunting and groaning in 90-degree heat, Jimmy Connors gave no ground from there on. After 4.5 hours, young Patrick McEnroe was stunned by Connors' sheer relentlessness. It was another amazing comeback for a remarkable athlete who'll be 39 years old on Monday.
I'm not afraid to go for it, and that's just swing from the hip and go for it.
He has this almost a lust for tennis. There are lots of players who hit the ball as well as Jimmy does, or better, but you can't measure the heart.
What you can measure are the victories in a career that has spanned 22 years. 109 singles titles in all, including 8 Grand Slam titles. The 5 US Opens, 2 at Wimbledon, and 1 in the Australian Open.
Jimmy may rank as the best player to ever play the game if you look at record, number of Grand Slam titles, number of championships, record in Davis Cup. He may go down as the best player in history.
James Scott Connors was born in a tough working-class neighborhood of East St. Louis, Illinois.
My basic attitude and ground game from growing up was East St. Louis, born and bred, and I'll never forget that.
He was raised by his mother, who taught him tennis on public courts to keep him off the streets.
She's my only coach that I've had over the course of my career.
A career which Jimmy Connors began as a brash and bratty 17-year-old, arguing with officials, clowning at his opponents, and scoffing at the fans, and growing up along the way.
Not only was I fighting myself, but I was fighting my opponent, and sometimes I was fighting 16,000, 17,000 people also. As I grew older, I started realizing that it was probably better for me to have those 17,000 people on my side.
Throughout the 70s and early 80s, those fans will never forget the tennis wars between Connors and Bjorn Borg, Connors and John McEnroe. Yes. Connors hasn't won a major tournament since 1983.
That's it. He's got it. He's got it.
But he hasn't lost an ounce of that desire. You've only to ask his former opponents.
He goes all out from the very first point to the very last. When he walks on a practice court, he's just as intense from the very first ball that he hits to the minute he goes off the court.
I don't want to practice him anymore because he practices like it's a tennis match, and I'm not in the shape.
Jimmy Connors won again last night. He will go on to the 3rd round of the Open tomorrow. Tuesday's astonishing comeback was the 8th time since 1971 that Connors, playing in a major tournament, has snatched a victory from what looked like sure defeat. The 8th time, and almost surely not the last time either.
One morning I'll wake up and say I've had enough and not want to go through the grind that I'm going through right now, but until then I'm having a ball.
And so we choose Jimmy Connors.